Jesse Cole is a man who can usually be seen wearing a yellow tuxedo, and he cites amongst his heroes P.T. Barnum, the legendary circus entrepreneur who once said, "Without promotion, something terrible happens." Nothing. What do you do when your baseball club needs attention? How do you break years of indifference in a city to the sport? Well, taking the Greatest Showman's advice is a good place to start. Pick a name that will divide opinion. Give the public something that cannot be called boring. Don't do what dozens of team owners before you have done, which is to say, exactly the same as the last guy. Live by a few good mantras. When you follow the crowd, you'll never draw a crowd. Whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. Break the rules. And if you're not scared, well, maybe you're not going big enough. What has followed has been nothing short of a sporting marvel. It's a story that's very much of our times, dividing opinion, driven by social media engagement, and ditching normalcy to head to the extreme where some will love and some will hate. Yet there's one commodity they provide that no other baseball team, or maybe even sports team, can claim to do so to the same level. Joy. Pure, unquestionable joy. This is a story of rule breakers, of showmen, and of realising that a little criticism isn't such a bad thing at all. This is the greatest show in sports. This is the Savannah Bananas. This is Banana Ball, and this is the Sporting Almanac Podcast.
Orange, 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 orange.
Baseball.
Baseball's back. Spring ball.
Springtime baseball. The time where everyone has some hope and dreams, unless you're a Colorado Rockies fan and you already won them 4.
You have a greater intimate relationship with baseball than I. Yeah, I don't really have a team, do I?
No, just pick one. Not the Rockies.
I've got an A's cap because I like Oakland.
Well, I've got some bad news for you, Ben.
I know they don't exist
I've
anymore.
got some really awful news.
They don't exist anymore, I know.
What do you think about Vegas?
Yeah, no, I don't think anything about Vegas. So I have an A's cap from obviously the glory days of Moneyball. I would say I'm a big fan of the romantics, like the Red Sox and the Cubs and those stories. You could probably make a case for the Seattle Mariners for me as well.
Yeah.
Not as big as the two previously mentioned, but yeah, I would say I have a soft spot for them.
Yeah, got a soft spot for any Seattle team at the moment after the Seahawks dumped the Patriots. Made me happy.
Oh, and actually, we should probably mention the Blue Jays have rocketed in
Indeed.
popularity for obvious reasons, because it would have been very nice if they had managed to get over the line, but they succumbed to the superpower, the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, not much you can do. As we said, wonderful series, entertaining, one for the fans.
Yeah.
Disappointing result.
Yeah. Baseball's just a good sport, though, which is why we just decided to chew the fat over it for a little while. And this one's a bit of an odd episode because we don't really have like a conventional structure or an event to talk about. So, I mean,
Well, I have a lot to talk about.
Well, we've got a thing that we're going to talk about. So we're just going to talk about baseball for a few minutes, and some of its controversies and some of the fun things about it, and you know why the baseball season being back is enjoyable, and what there might be to look forward to. And then you're going to talk about Banana Ball.
The Banana Ball, yeah. Which so I've realised one thing about Banana Ball and the Savannah Bananas or the Savannah Bananas is that you can't say that name properly if you're British, because we don't say banana, we say banana. Mm-hmm. So it's either the Savannah Bananas or the Savannah Bananas, and then it's Banana Ball, not Banana Ball. It should be the Savannah Bananas, which obviously sounds right, other than the fact you're pronouncing the word banana wrong. So apologies to any American listeners in advance. I'm either going to say the word banana wrong, or I'm going to say the word banana wrong. So there's no winning for you.
Or you might say Savannah wrong.
I'm definitely not going to say Savannah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking forward to that because I know of it, but I don't know much about it other than obviously what I've seen on social media platforms, the internet, YouTube.
Yeah, got a real soft spot for it after my research.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Maybe before we get to that, why don't we just dabble with some of the consistent themes of baseball seasons gone by, like drugs.
Tasty. Tasty drugs.
Drugs come up a lot in baseball.
Don't do them at home, kids. Go to the physio room and they'll give you them for free.
If you played for the Metropolitans during the 1980s or the Pittsburgh Pirates, that was not even an exaggeration.
No.
Yeah. Known as greenies back in the day.
Greenies?
Or red juice.
I've not heard of that. Red juice, not heard of that either.
So, red juice was a liquid form of amphetamine that some players, including Willie Mays, may or may not have had in their locker. Greenies, I think, were a more conventional consuming amphetamines. From a sporting perspective, they're a stimulant, obviously, as well as being a recreational drug. And baseball is a long season, so players would essentially take amphetamines for energy. So that's what they did in the 80s. The reason that you prompted me to bring that up, Jack, accidentally or otherwise, is because they literally had a phrase at the Metropolitans where their players would refer to going in the jar in the physio room when they were getting the aforementioned drugs. Didn't stop the Mets, so they won it all in 86.
Yeah, well, you would, wouldn't you?
Well, you say you would. I think they were supposed to be like a dynasty franchise, and they didn't make another playoff appearance for like a decade or something. Or maybe they made one in like 10 years because they were all on drugs and drinking during the season. So not always...
It was a different time. It was definitely a different time.
Not always beneficial.
No.
So I think there was... I don't know. You might know this off the top of your head. I don't know off the top of my head. But I think there was quite a high-profile trial in Pittsburgh because of similar issues. But I don't know. They're not the only people to have taken drugs.
Well, that's what Willie Mays was implicated in, wasn't it? Was it the Pittsburgh trials? Yeah, we need to do an episode on that sometime, really.
And if we do, we can talk about Doc Ellis in more detail.
Yes, we certainly could, for one.
He threw a no-hitter, and you'll better describe what a no-hitter is, but it's very rare. And he did so playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, so a theme emerging here with that team. They were playing the Padres, San Diego Padres, and he, unbeknownst to him, was starting pitcher that evening.
I do know this, yeah.
Pretty mercurial. Pretty idiosyncratic, and he had forgotten that he was starting.
It can happen.
He was in Los Angeles, and obviously not too far away, but far away enough, and took some LSD at around midday. And then shortly afterwards was reminded that he was in fact starting. So they put him on a plane, and he took to the mound at 6 p.m., threw his no-hitter, and he said he was chewing gum until it turned to dust. He dived out the way of what he thought was like a line drive, but it actually came nowhere near him and don't even think it reached him. So that must have been quite amusing. Occasionally he couldn't see the catcher. Couldn't see him occasionally. Like sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't. Sometimes the glove was big, sometimes it was little, sometimes the ball wasn't there. And he threw a no-hitter.
Which is impressive. So for those who don't know, a no-hitter is exactly what it sounds like. No opposition batter gets a hit off you. A perfect game would be you don't allow anyone on base. So you don't allow any walks. You don't hit the batter. They're very, very rare. No-hitters are still pretty rare, but he would have given a walk or something during the game. So maybe if he wasn't high as a effing kite, he might have been able to pitch a perfect game that day. So frankly, he missed out on legendary status.
Yeah,
or maybe it was the drugs that helped him. Who knows? I wonder if he tried it again.
It's not all fun and games when it comes to drugs in the MLB, though. They've had their fair share of scandals.
Yes. Listen to this, kids. Listen and learn.
Well, let me just say some names, and I'm sure it will provoke something in you. Jose Canseco.
Yes.
Mark McGuire.
Yes.
Curtis Wenslaff. Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Balco.
Well, Barry Bonds, I mean, probably the best baseball player in history not to be in the Hall of Fame and never to be in the Hall of Fame because of his reputation and his drug scandal attached to him. An incredible baseball player nonetheless. His average was ludicrous. His hitting power was ridiculous. But of course, that hitting power was somewhat affected by the amount of steroids he was taking, allegedly. Allegedly proven? I don't care. Either way, he's not in the Hall of Fame for a reason.
He was juiced. And that's probably another story that you and I will delve into in more detail. Another
opportunity would be a full episode, yeah.
Yeah, because Balco's crazy. That is a laboratory that was effectively like juicing loads of professional athletes across various different sports in North America, predominantly.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Did you know? Oh, I guess I sort of knew that baseball is a more violent sport than it's given credit for.
I think we've mentioned this before. Baseball has this weird set of unwritten rules that if you cross certain lines, it is expected of your team, your manager, whoever is involved to defend you. So it would be like if you get hit by a pitch, you would expect your pitcher to then go out and hit someone else with a pitch to get your own back, even if it's a completely different person to the person who threw the pitch. That's how it works. And if someone is unduly targeting someone, or you believe that they're unduly targeting someone on your team, especially if they're a star player, a young player, someone you feel needs defending, the entire bench comes to their defense. Is this one of those incidents you're talking about?
Oh, mate, I had the bench clearances is what I had in mind, just because when they go off, like you said, big time.
Oh, yeah.
The obvious one that comes to mind, and I'm sure there are heaps if you really follow baseball more closely than I do, but the obvious one is the Yankees-Red Sox one in 2003.
Yeah.
Playoff baseball as well. Obviously, Yankees-Red Sox, like, do we need to really say much more? But yeah, Don Zimmer, who was 72 at the time, Yankees coach, charged Pedro Martinez, who was
rules are rules,
a pitcher for the Red Sox. And Pedro Martinez sidestepped him, grabbed him round the face, as far as I can tell, and hurled a 72-year-old man to the floor.
A pensioner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty well known. One of the other ones that I sort of enjoy, because it does the rounds quite a lot on social media, is the Blue Jays versus the Texans, which was in May 2016. So we're talking spring ball. It doesn't have to be crunch stuff.
Yeah, playoff time.
Yeah, and I think it all stemmed back to an incredibly disrespectful bat flip from Jose Bautista in the playoffs the year before.
The year before?
Yeah.
So presumably if this is May, this is probably the first time the two teams are meeting in the 2016 season.
Yes.
So that's how long grudges can be held for.
Yeah. Bautista slid into second. Is it Rugned Odor? I might be Rugned Odor? I don't know. The first name.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. Odor, whoever he is, basically just knocked him out. Well, punched him so hard he knocked his sunglasses off his head. I don't know if he actually knocked out Bautista, but he was definitely unsteady on the feet. Anyway, the bench is clear. All hell breaks loose. It's very enjoyable viewing.
I think a lot of people end up getting ejected, which is basically sent off.
Yeah.
I think half a dozen or so people got kicked out of the game for that.
The thing that's cool about baseball bench clearances when compared to sort of basically any other sport, and this is unique, I think, to baseball, even ice hockey, which has, is very familiar with a fight, coaches, everyone gets involved, physios, like the entire staff just flood out of the bench and out of the dugouts and just get it on.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's a really strange culture. I mean, there's certain similar things in, like, let's compare it to association football. There's certain sort of cultures to it. Like, if there's a younger player particularly who gets hit with a cheap shot, especially if they're young and talented, it is inevitable that the biggest guy on the pitch will probably come and square in. But it's not the all-encompassing culture that exists in American sports. It's weird.
Now that you've drawn a parallel between association football and baseball, can I draw a parallel between Ty Cobb and Eric Cantona?
You can certainly do that.
Eric Cantona, famous for karate kicking a Crystal Palace fan and going to jail for the same, amongst obviously his very vast association footballing talent. But what does he have in common with Ty Cobb? Well, Ty Cobb kicked the crap out of a disabled fan at a game once.
Jesus.
Because
Ty Cobb had a reputation. Ty Cobb was famously not a very nice bloke. But yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know he was a disabled fan. I'd heard of the fight. Didn't know that.
Apparently he didn't have any hands or something.
Well, that's not a fair fight then, is it?
Yeah, he was. Whoever the fan was abusing another one of the or one of Ty Cobb's teammates every time he came up to bat. I think in a game against Detroit, between New York Highlanders and Detroit Tigers.
Yeah,
I think that's right. Anyway, he didn't take too kindly to it and literally jumped into the stands and just beat this guy up. So yeah, Eric Cantona and Ty Cobb. I'm
reading through Ty Cobb's profile quickly just to make sure I'm not doing him a disservice. And apparently he was very supportive of Jackie Robinson in the 1940s into the 1950s. So I will say apologies to Ty Cobb. He wasn't a completely bad guy, but he was known for being a bit of a difficult chap.
Interesting as well that you bring up racism historically.
Oh yes,
historically a theme in Major League Baseball. We could do a lot of time on this, but there have been racist owners, there have been racist players. You've obviously mentioned Jackie Robinson. We've already said we're going to do an episode on Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
But did you know about Marge Schott?
No, I don't.
She was a very unpleasant woman. She was a Cincinnati Reds owner between 1984 and 1999. I say owner, there's obviously a whole heap of different ways in which you can have power over these franchises, but I think she was, for all intents and purposes, an owner. Reds won the World Series in 1990 under her stewardship, but she was banned from having any involvement in the team in 1993 due to a series of racist comments. I won't repeat them because they're bad, about black players and Jews predominantly. And then she came back.
I'm guessing she was an older woman.
Yeah, she was an older.
Not that it really defends it, but
yeah, she was an older lady,
generational thing.
By this point, she was, the back end of her life, I guess. Sort of like 50s onwards, maybe.
Old enough to know better.
Old enough to know better, and definitely had been around enough to see the times were a-changing.
Had changed by the 90s.
Well, yeah.
It's not the bloody 60s.
No, that's true. Anyhow, you would have thought that having been banned for racist comments would have been enough of a deterrent. Well, not for Marge. She came back and then was banned again for stating that Adolf Hitler was good for Germany.
That was the sound of a facepalm.
Yeah, not great. And
Jesus, Marge.
You had some pretty crazy players as well. The worst quote I could find was from a guy called John Rocker, who, when asked if he would play in New York, said, and this is a full quote, "I would retire first. It's the most hectic, nerve-wracking city. So far, so good. Imagine having to take the 7 train to the ballpark, looking like you're riding through Beirut next to some kid with purple hair, next to some queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who just got out of jail for the 4th time, next to some 20-year-old mum with 4 kids. It's depressing. The biggest thing I don't like about New York are the foreigners." Now we're going to escalate. You can walk an entire block in Times Square and not hear anybody speaking English. Asians and Koreans and Vietnamese and Indians and Russians and Spanish people and everything up there. How the hell did they get in this country? That's John.
I think that's bingo. I think that's everything.
That is
John. That's everyone.
Full house from John. Just when you didn't think it could get worse. That quote continues to take a turn.
There you go.
So yeah, Jackie Robinson.
Did no one think to stop him at some point during that quote? Just like get a hand on the shoulder. Just, that's enough. That's enough.
I don't know
You've
what
said enough.
I assume that wasn't post game because surely someone from the media team would have been like,
not like he buried the lead on that, is it? Like pretty early on, you could see which way that was going. They just let him speak. I guess that's good journalism, though, isn't it?
The first line is
give him enough rope.
Is the peak of that quote? I would retire first. It's the most hectic, nerve-wracking city. Leave it there, John. Leave it there.
Yeah. So it sounds like you like the countryside, which is fine. That's okay. That's okay. Don't say anything else. That's okay. Jesus.
So yeah.
Baseball, man.
Long story short, baseball's got a lot going on for it. So let's take it in a more positive direction. Comebacks.
Oh yeah.
Comebacks and romance, mate. And then
Let's do it.
And then we'll get to the fun. Daniel Bard.
Colorado Rockies.
You're welcome, Jack.
Here we go.
His story's lovely.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's the best.
And this is kind of like baseball in a nutshell. The Daniel Bard comeback. He played for the Red Sox between 2009 and 2013. He then was absent for 7 years because he basically got a bad case of the yips.
The yips, yeah.
And he was really good. Like he had a Red Sox team record of 25 consecutive scoreless appearances before he got the yips. And he could pitch over 100 mile an hour. I think 101 mile an hour is his fastest ever pitch. But yeah, so he went and he became a coach, did some training, did the rounds. Then he started enjoying playing a little bit more like in training. So he got back into the minors. And as you said, picked up by the Rockies.
Yeah, which is, to be fair, the hardest place to go and pitch. Literally, just based on the air conditions at a mile high up in Denver. It's easier for batters and harder for pitchers. You get less stuff happening with your pitchers because the air's so much thinner. I mean, fastballs go a bit quicker. That's about your only advantage. But other than that, yeah, it's a batter's place, if ever there is one.
Yeah, you can hit a long ball.
Which is incredible because the Colorado Rockies can't bat. Don't know how they manage it.
Probably why they lose so often at home then.
I mean, they're worse at pitching, to be fair, than they are at batting. But still.
Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't help if you can't do either discipline. But yeah, I really like his story. And he played for the Rockies for 3 years. And then he went to the Mariners for a little bit. And then he finally retired for good. But, you know, me and you joke every time we bring up baseball because of the quote from Moneyball that it's hard not to be romantic about baseball. And
oh, yeah.
That's because it is. I'm not going to do anything on the A's and Moneyball. Everybody knows the story. Everyone's probably seen the film. But if you need romance in a nutshell, in an hour and a half, in 2 hours, to really hammer home why people fall in love with baseball, even though it's got an absurdly long season, it's because it's romantic. And
it is.
It's fun.
It is fun. And the thing about Major League Baseball is in a 162 game season, repeated across 30 teams and X number of seasons that there's been 100 plus years of the sport, 150 years nearly of the sport, anything that could possibly happen ends up happening because you're getting statistically very close to infinity at that point in terms of amount of games, amount of pitchers, whatever else.
Is that Murphy's Law? Is that what that is? Anything that can happen will happen. I know that's anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Is Murphy's Law.
I was going to say, I think that's more of a negative thing.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's probably technically true of baseball as well. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Mr. Murphy was a baseball fan.
Yeah, that is fascinating. It's so romantic, so fun, and so enjoyable that some people have found a very smart way to market it outside of MLB.
I presume you're giving me my in right now to talk about the bananas.
Mate, I haven't pitched that to you. I've underarmed it.
Thank you. I'll swing for the fences then. So, okay. The Savannah Bananas. I'm going to refer to them as the Bananas if ever I just say their second name, but I'll try to make it the Savannah Bananas because it sounds wrong otherwise, as mentioned earlier. You may have seen them on social media. You've seen them on Instagram mostly. TikTok if you've got it. We're too old for that, I'm sure, but most likely on Instagram. They are a baseball team. They do play baseball, although it's a version of baseball called Banana Ball. And it's a version of baseball that puts entertainment first. It's like a mix between circus, could arguably even say WWE, although it's not staged as such. Certain things they do are for entertainment purposes, but the actual game they play it's competitive. They are trying to win the game.
Musical?
But, yeah, musical. Musical numbers, dance routines, choreographed dance routines. You've got everyone dancing, not just the players. You've got the first famous breakdancing first baseman for the Bananas. You've got the umpires doing their stuff. It's wonderful.
That's cool that they've got the officials involved. I like that.
Yeah, the famous the big dancing umpire who is, I forget his name, but he is very, very entertaining. But it's a spectacle and it's designed to put the fans first and it's designed to be entertainment first. And the history of it's really interesting and the people behind it are really, really interesting. And I just think as much as there's a lot of people who hate this and a lot of people will probably be, their first inclination is to be dismissive of it and to say it's not baseball. This is a wonderful traditional sport. Yes, it can be slow. Yes, it can be a bit boring at times, but we like it how it is. And it's similar to me as cricket is in the UK, that sort of attitude.
I was going to say...
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
I was going to say, like, anyone who's saying, we've got to save Test cricket or T20's bad for the game, that kind of mindset.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is the story of this is a story of a city that hated baseball that now has one of the most popular baseball teams in the country, and they're not even a major league team. So, I mean, the story starts with an old, historic, legendary ballpark in Savannah, Georgia, called the William L. Grayson Stadium. It has about 5,000 seats. It was built in 1926, so a proper old-fashioned ballpark.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
By sort of 2014, 2015, it was really in need of some TLC. But it had a lot of charm. It had the classical ballpark charm that you can imagine. I mean, we see this in England in football stadiums, sort of classic football stadiums. York City have just moved to a new stadium, community stadium. It is better. It is more comfortable, but it's not the same as Bootham Crescent used to be. And we've been to both stadiums.
Not the same.
You tell me which one has more charm, shall we say.
Think Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
Think if you want a baseball analogy, I guess, think a smaller version of like a Wrigley Field or a Fenway Park. Cricketing terms, think of Lords. Think of Lords is very grand, but think of the Oval, maybe.
Yeah.
With a very proud pavilion.
Headingley, even in many ways, backing onto the rugby stadium as well. But yeah, it that's what it was. It was this, but it was a city that for years. This stadium, as I say, was built in 1926. It had a few occupants in, 90 years up to sort of 2015 kind of time. The first occupant was a minor league team. They had about 10 nicknames during their existence, so they were constantly trying to rebrand and try and get fans in. They were the Pathfinders, the Colts, the Athletics, the Reds, the Pirates, the White Sox, the Senators, but most commonly the Indians.
That's played a lot of
on
names.
and off. They had a lot of names, but all they were doing was they were trying to get fans there. They were trying to get popular. Rebranding, yeah. They played on and off until 1970 when they got fed up with low attendance and they sodded off to, I think, Jacksonville in Florida. So that was the first team to leave. The Atlanta Braves, who are a Major League Baseball team, they moved their AA team in. So just to explain quickly, in minor league baseball, AAA is the highest level, then AA, then single A. And then you get like rookie leagues and summer leagues below that. Summer leagues in particular is relevant to this story. I'll come to that in a sec. So they moved their AA team in the Atlanta Braves, called the Savannah Braves, as you can imagine, in 1971. But again, they didn't get anyone going to the stadium, so they went to Greenville, South Carolina in 1983. So the St. Louis Cardinals moved their single A team in 1984, called the Savannah Cardinals. These teams are very original with their naming conventions. That team name did change, though, to the Sand Gnats, which is an interesting name, the Savannah Sand Gnats, in 1996. They became affiliated with the Dodgers instead, and then later with the Texas Rangers, the Montreal Expos, who then became the Washington Nationals, and then the New York Mets. So they were just getting handed around from Major League team to Major League team.
Yeah, it's like a full roster.
And all this time, no one was going to see them, because it was at a Savannah Sand Gnats game in 2014 that the city's baseball future was to be changed forever. So there's a man named Jesse Cole, and Jesse Cole is the single most relevant person to this story, along with his wife, Emily. So Jesse Cole was like thousands of people before him, a want-to-be baseball player who never quite made it to the top level. He got an injury, in his case, that put an end to his chances. But he learned something that no injury could put an end to, which was how to be a showman. So once he graduated college, he became the general manager of the Gastonia Grizzlies in North Carolina, very much a minor league baseball team. He gave everything to it. He stood out and became known for wearing a bright yellow tuxedo to games whilst acting as MC in those games. So he was always a showman, always someone who was trying to market slightly differently. He even got down on one knee and proposed to his girlfriend Emily while in that yellow tux. She said yes. And after she said yes, she treated him to a trip to a historic ballpark, which was Grayson Stadium in 2014, as I said. So the two of them went. There were two of about 100 people, apparently, inside the 4,000-seater stadium at that point. The city and the baseball club at the time were at loggerheads. The Sand Gnats, they wanted a new stadium to try and grow fan engagement, do something different to try and get fans in, as so many teams had before them. They wanted the city to pay for it. The city were like, how is buying a new stadium going to get more people in? You're only getting 100 people coming to your games.
I was going to say,
sounds quite logical.
40 years of no interest and being like, this is not looking like
literally
a great investment.
Yeah, no, it's literally that. Why buy a shiny new arena to fix what is clearly an endemic problem? You can't get fans into the stadium. Whatever you're doing isn't working. And that's the key point. What they were doing wasn't working. But what could they do differently? That's the question. Because Mr. Cole, he fell in love with Grayson Stadium as soon as he was there. He saw it as an American icon, which just needed a bit of TLC. So he texted the league commissioner and told him that if that team ever left, if the Sand Gnats ever left, he would like first refusal on taking over the stadium lease and starting a team in Savannah. And unsurprisingly, given the loggerheads between the team and the city, they did soon move on. 2015, they moved to Columbia, South Carolina to become the Columbia Fireflies, who are now affiliated to the Kansas City Royals. And and Jesse Cole took on the lease and he set up a new team ready to start play in 2016. But story is merely beginning at this point. So he started up the team as an independent team, originally without a name, not affiliated to any major league ball club as these other clubs had been previously, just as an independent team. But that meant they had to start sort of right at the bottom, basically. So they were a college summer league team, which is a level way below single A even. Basically, if you're a college player, you come to your summer holidays and you want to get some sort of professional baseball level experience, you go and play in one of these summer leagues. You get scouts from the major teams going, obviously an opportunity for them to be scouted, as well as an opportunity for them to play sort of professional standard baseball with proper rules, with proper equipment, etc., etc.
There is a draft, isn't there, in baseball,
Yes.
but it runs very differently to the drafts that people are familiar with American.
Very long.
Yeah, and also you don't have to go through the draft system to get into baseball in the same way that you do in NFL and to a lesser extent basketball. It's a lot more like conventional sport that you and I would be familiar with in terms of scouting and recruiting people, isn't it?
Yeah, you can also be drafted straight out of high school, or you can be drafted after college as well. So it's sort of a choice. Do you want to go and hone your skills at college, or do you want to hone your skills through the minor league system?
Yeah,
but miss out on an education. So sort of there's pros and cons as a baseball player to do it. And there's also quite a lot of NFL players who end up getting drafted baseball as well, but they obviously never play baseball. Like Tom Brady got drafted.
Yeah, there was
Patrick Mahomes got drafted.
There was a guy recently as well, wasn't there? He went quite high in both.
I know who you mean, but I can't remember who it was off the top of my head.
Anyway,
the
Summer League. That's the reason they want to play there. Yeah.
Yes, they want to play there, Summer League. So they joined the Coastal Plains League West Division.
Catchy.
Yeah. Really rolls off the tongue. So Cole, he tried his best to find sponsors and support, but he kept running into brick walls. So they held a launch party and only 80 people showed up, which was mostly members of the press, which obviously wasn't a good combination because they got some bad write-ups after that.
No such thing as bad press.
Well, quite, and we'll come to that. The caterers even took pity on them and didn't even charge them for the event because so few people turned up. They then tried to get the caterers to sort of cater this event, and they were like, no, this isn't going anywhere. This team is
make a loss.
going to fail. They only sold 2 season tickets at this point in the early days, so they were trying to obviously sell tickets. They sold
who bought them?
2 season tickets. I don't know, probably Jesse and Emily Cole, I imagine. No, that's me being cynical. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
That would have been nice though if there was just some bloke.
So they're due to start playing in like the late spring, early summer of 2016, and this is like late 2015. So they have some time to sort of get this team ready, but it's not a good start, basically. So they did their best to sort of get fan engagement going, but the message they were getting was pretty clear. No baseball team has ever succeeded here. Why do you think you're going to? They were doing everything by the book. They were trying to get local engagement, get the fans interested, normal sort of social media, nothing particularly extraordinary. They were fearing that the first season in 2016 would be over before it even began because they were running out of money, even early in 2016. So Jesse and Emily Cole took a gamble. They sold their house. They cleared out all their savings, and they invested it all into the team, basically all or nothing.
This geezer must have loved baseball.
Yeah. He must have believed in himself as well.
Yeah, sure.
They must have believed in each other.
Yeah, but like this is before. I mean, you haven't even explained like the plot twist here. This is just what he was doing to try and get a baseball team off the ground. So he must have really loved it.
Oh yeah. This is like trying to set up. It's a semi-pro kind of setup. Obviously, the players are amateurs because they're still college eligible. They can't get paid, but you're still getting people through the door. It's still a professional organisation. It's not like setting up a grassroots club, for example. This is a proper gamble. I mean, he could quite easily lose all his money here. They were joined by 24-year-old Jared Orton. He was a young assistant GM for a rookie league team in Burlington. He took a chance on Cole and on the Coles, I should say, and the team. And between them, they started to get creative. They started to think outside the box. They tried the normal things a ball team would do, and they failed. So instead, they did things completely differently. They built a young team, a young team around them in terms of like the commercial, in terms of the backroom team, basically. So straight out of college, so not had sort of the baseball norms hammered into them. They're fresh thinkers and not yet corrupted by how baseball should be done. As we know,
Moneyball
can be quite corrupting. Yeah, well, quite. So you were saying, how did they come up with the name? Well, they came up with the name by holding a contest, by engaging the fans to pick their own name, and some suggestions came up, like the Savannah Ghosts, because Savannah's famous for having a lot of ghost history, similar to York, actually, so that would have been a cool name. There was also suggestions, as is always the case when you put it out to the public, like the Savannah Baseball McBaseball Faces.
I like that.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, regulation. That's yours truly over here started that trend, as in the United Kingdom, not me personally, obviously.
Boaty McBoatface.
Yeah.
You'll have to see it. So Lynn Moses was the fan who chose the name, and the name was the Savannah Bananas, which rolls off the tongue, but it was very, very unpopular with locals. Banana isn't even a fruit that's local to Georgia, and there are lots of fruits which are local to Georgia, the peach being the best example of that. And
yeah, but it doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't rhyme. And they thought they were making a mockery of the city's name. Like, oh, the name sounds like banana. Let's mock it. That kind of attitude.
I'm starting to get an understanding as to why this baseball team has never been successful, though, if this is the general consensus of the population, just whinging about
the thing
names
is,
and stuff.
The thing is, there was a lot of bad press, and as you correctly point out, there's not really any such thing as bad press, is there? Because the one thing you can't afford to be as a baseball team is ignored.
Yeah.
And now the whole city was talking about them one way or another.
Everyone's engaging with their terrible name, which they actually quite like because it rhymes.
Yeah, the name was out. The whole city, who probably otherwise wouldn't have known that the Sandmats had even left, knowing exactly who the new tenants of Grayson Stadium were. Jesse Cole summed it up nicely with a quote by P.T. Barnum. And for those who don't know, he is the greatest showman himself. He's a famous 19th century circus entrepreneur who was never short of a quote, one of which being, "I'd rather be laughed at than not noticed at all." One way or another, Savannah was not ignoring its new baseball team now. There were other innovations too. Tickets were sold as all-you-can-eat tickets, so all the hot dogs, pretzels, sodas, burgers, or whatever you could eat, as well as a baseball ticket for $15, which is a pretty good deal, to be fair. That was a higher ticket price than other teams at the same level would usually charge, but obviously came with all-inclusive food, and if we know anything about Americans or sports fans in general, or me for that matter, that would certainly get me through the door of a stadium, because it feels like value for money.
It's a very unique offering for sure. Like you don't get that kind of service.
It wasn't a short-term thing. Still the case for their home games. That's incredible.
That's very cool.
They also unveiled a new dance team. So how would people traditionally, historically, have unveiled a dance team to try and get people in? It would be a cheerleading squad. It would be young, pretty girls. So that's the normal way of doing it. Not the Savannah Bananas, though. They put a mix of women, for sure, but they were, and I love this name, the Banana Nanas, a bunch of women over the age of 65. It's another word that doesn't really work with English. It's going to be banana nanas. That doesn't work very well. Who would dance, and they were very, very popular. They also unveiled a mascot named Split, who was an extremely ripped banana with a six-pack. The King of Potassium, they called him, which is fun.
All of this is actually great so far.
It is, and it all got them attention on social media. It gets them a mention on ESPN, the fact they've got nanas doing their dancing instead of regular cheerleaders. I'm sure they were very, very good dancers, but nevertheless, it made it clear as well to the locals that it weren't going to be another boring baseball team. And the ticket sales came. Early season games were sold out. Opening night was sold out, which was a seriously impressive achievement compared to what was happening. I mean, the game before it probably had 100 fans in the stadium, and now they're selling out games.
At 5,000.
Yeah, 4,000.
It's an exponential increase in attendance, though.
Very impressive indeed. So the first challenge, the first hurdle had been jumped, but there was many more to come. Their first game was not a huge success. There was rain, which is bad for baseball, same as in cricket. You have to delay until the rain goes away. And so obviously that caused a rush on the all-you-can-eat stands, and they weren't quite prepared for them. There was people waiting hours for food. Apparently the day was saved by who else but the Nanas, who started dancing. That got the fans back in their seats and jumping, and apparently by the time the first pitch was finally thrown, there was still a full house in, so no one had left early, so that was good. That was positive. However, unfortunately, the team sucked, and they lost the game quite heavily with loads of errors, but, got to start somewhere. The adventure had begun, lessons had been learned, and, first step on the journey, and all that. Savannah Bananas' position has always been to put the fans first. It's all about the fan experience. It's all about the attitude. From day one, that was their attitude. So basically choose joy always, no matter the situation. And it was really, really popular. They sold out 17 matches in the first season, which is decent. They're only short seasons in the summer leagues, so pretty good percentage of matches there. And they only grew from there. So they were originally playing, as you rightly pointed out, in the Coastal Plains League. They were playing genuine baseball. All they were doing was having a different approach to how they treated their fans. Obviously, all you can eat and various other things like that. They became one of the most heavily attended teams in the league, despite their relatively small capacity. There was other teams with bigger ballparks who might have been getting a few more than them, but they were selling out more than other teams were. And they started bringing in new things they were doing differently. As I said, dancing first base coaches, players interacting with fans mid-match, like giving out flowers to people on their birthday and things like that, literally at the end of an innings, just climbing up into the stands and interacting with the fans. Backflips and tricks on the field, and Jesse Cole, obviously, in his yellow tux throughout, emceeing and focusing on the fans that way. So, yeah.
It's such a good idea.
Putting their fans first.
Just nice. It's like, yeah. Like, it's weird. It's kind of unsurprising because it feels obvious, but I guess not many people do it, in that, like, happiness and joy and, like, celebration does sell. Like, it doesn't have to be shocking or, like, divisive or what have you. Like, this is just a great idea.
So I've listened to a bit of Jesse Cole's book, which is called Fans First. Obviously, it's the team mantra. He is a very interesting guy with a lot of interesting ideas, and his sort of concept is basically, yes, put the fans first, obviously, but do it in a way which is as frictionless to them as possible. So don't make it so there's... The example he gives in his book is the team he used to work for had an offer on where your ticket would also get you a free Chick-fil-A, which is a chicken restaurant. But then the rules of the stadium where you couldn't bring that into the stadium. So they were turning people away with their bags of Chick-fil-A at the door, and they were just going off and eating their Chick-fil-A, and who knows whether they were coming back or not to spend money in the stadium, which is obviously the point. So who is that benefiting? You're pissing the fans off and you're ruining your bottom line. The best thing you can do is to make the fans happy, to give up that short-term profit and the risk associated. If they come in with food, they're not going to buy our food. Get rid of that attitude and secure the fans in the long term. Like, it's better for them to spend $10 a game for 50 games than it is to spend $20 for one game and not want to come back.
Yeah,
again.
Or like you say, if
simple,
even if it's $25, $30 or even $15 on one occasion, like as a treat, you're not consistently coming. Whereas you might, as you say, get somebody spending half that money but far more regularly, which is a far more sustainable business model. You want them to fall in love.
Yeah, you want them to fall in love with your team. You want them to get the bug and want to come back.
And they did.
They do, yeah. The attitude is still there, especially their home games at Grayson Stadium, as I'll say. The model has changed over the years, but those home games, you still get your all-you-can-eat tickets. There's no advertisements inside the stadium, so there's no billboards around the stadium to sort of draw focus. There's none of those announcements that you get a lot in American sport, American everywhere, where it's like, this section of the game is brought to you by Diet Coke.
Yeah,
something like that. Me saying Diet Coke because I've got a can of Diet Coke next to me. But, whoever it is, like,
that
doesn't put the fans first. You're putting a little bit of extra money in your pocket and ruining the fan experience ever so slightly. Might be enough to stop someone coming back.
There's a really excellent contemporaneous example of that in the sport that you and I watch more regularly, and that the Six Nations has just finished, and they started doing adverts at scrum time once a half.
Yeah. And
I think it is like 100% hated. I haven't heard anyone say, oh, that's quite cool.
No, it's awful. It feels like an Americanization. That would be the sort of generalization of it. And this is it. You put the fans first, you get rid of that for the small amount of money that ITV in that case are probably making. Who's going to turn off?
Yeah. Well, people will have turned that over. I'm not saying I have the stats on this, but this is such an interesting thing to have brought up because maybe ITV will sit there and they'll roll out statistics that demonstrate. Obviously, marketing and advertising works. And that's not the dispute. But it'd be interesting to see what it does for viewership. Like, I wonder how many people did turn off when those scrum adverts came on, who were like sort of not that interested. So they just flicked it over because it was annoying or whatever, or just because an advert came on so they know that nothing's going to happen for 30 seconds. And then how long was it before they came back? Whereas, like you say, like, there's different ways to advertise. You don't have to ruin the game.
This is just my personal experience. Whenever whether it's an event or a place or a restaurant or a hotel, wherever, if I feel like I am getting conned, if I feel like something has been missold to me, for example, you get this on airlines quite a lot, them sort of like, oh, it's a cheap ticket, but then you have to buy this and this and this and this, your seat or your luggage or whatever else. If I feel like I've been conned, I won't use that business again. I won't. I just don't like it. It makes me feel dirty. I'll avoid doing it. But if I feel like I'm getting a bargain, damn straight I'm going to keep coming back, even if it's not really a bargain. Like those $15 tickets with all-you-can-eat food, it sounds like a bargain, doesn't it? Realistically, when people get there, it doesn't include alcoholic beverages for a start, so you're going to want to wash your hot dog down with a beer if you do go and get it. And then a lot of the time people get so engrossed in what's happening in the field, they actually just forget to go and buy the food anyway. So you can charge a little bit more for your ticket, make people feel like they're getting a bargain. Sometimes they'll take advantage of it, sometimes they won't, but on the whole, you make profit. But the important thing is they keep coming back because they feel like they're getting a bargain. It's smart marketing.
Free food on first-class trains.
Yes, things like that.
Like, you know, it's great when you do it once or twice, but like if you're doing it routinely, you stop getting the food. So all you're doing is praying for a markup to sit in an empty carriage in a slightly bigger seat.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's very clever. It's very clever, as I think what you and I unanimously agree.
Yeah, but it worked. It worked on and off the diamond because despite that awful opening game I talked about, they started winning games. In 2016, their first season, they started winning games. They made it all the way to the Championship Series. And in the Championship Series, they got all the way to a Game 3 decider in a 3-game series. And they were up against the Peninsula Pilots of Hampton, Virginia, which is an excellent name for a start. Give them credit. And they actually won it. They won 9-7. They won the title in their very first year. And they followed it up with a couple more titles. 2021, 2022, they won back-to-back titles. But 2022 was a year, or after 2022, was when it all changed for them. Because in 2018, they started playing exhibition games outside of their normal games. They started playing just in between their squad, like intra-squad games, using a new set of rules called Banana Ball rules, where it made the game a little bit more fun. Fans could still come and watch. They were just watching like half the team play half the team originally. In 2020, they started playing proper games. They played challenging teams who came and sort of challenged them, and they started playing a team that was created sort of for the benefit of you know,
the show.
Created to be a regular opponent for them. Think of the Washington Generals for the Harlem Globetrotters. If anyone's heard of the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals were their regular opponents. They always lost to the Harlem Globetrotters. In fact, they lost 2,500 games in a row against them until they accidentally won a game in 1971, which is a great story, by the way, because the guy who set the team up, a guy called Louis Klotz, 5'7", the Generals were 12 points up, not far from the edge of the game, and the Globetrotters were too busy showboating to notice. It happened quite a lot, but then they'd come and they'd win it anyway. In this case, Globetrotters did come back and they were a point up, and it looked like they were going to win it, and then Louis Klotz drained a shot.
A 3.
Put the Generals a point up, and the Globetrotters went up the other and missed their shot, and the game was over. Apparently people in the crowd literally cried because they were so upset that the Globetrotters lost.
That's excellent.
I mean, kids. I hope kids. But yeah.
Yeah, I hope the kids...
However...
Yeah, those kids, hope they had a bad day.
However, what I should say is the Savannah Party Animals were the team that's created. They wear pink. They are sort of the bad boys. That's sort of the vibe that they're given. And they don't play to lose. Like, they play properly. And they were the first sort of regular opponent in about 2020 that was set up for them. But Banana Ball has grown since then. There's now 6 teams involved and a whole new set of rules, which make it completely unique to baseball. I do have the list of rules here. It is quite a sizable list, so I'll skim through it as quickly as I can.
Yeah, because you're a sucker for the finer detail of sports regulation and governance, and
I just think it's a really good idea. Like,
it's a good idea. I'm just saying that you have a very specific niche interest in knowing all of the nuances of the rules and regulations.
I do. So I will skim through it. So basically, everything is designed with that fan-first mentality. It's trying to make the game as exciting and as viewer-friendly as possible. So there's no runs anymore. Games are won by points. The team that scores the most runs in the innings gets a point. So you basically win the innings, and then when you get to an unassailable lead, you win. If the final inning happens earlier than the 9th inning, due to the time limit being reached, the game's over. When the home team scored enough runs to win any innings other than the final innings, the innings immediately ends. So it moves quite quickly, and you get to a new innings pretty quickly. There is a 2-hour time limit, which is shorter than the average game of baseball. no new innings starts after the 120 minutes has elapsed. So basically, the final innings starts at the 2 hour mark, similar to like Formula One, where the last lap at the 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
And when you cross the line, it's over. Batters can't step out of the batting box. It's an automatic strike. Batters can't bunt. You get ejected from the game if you dare to bunt because it's too defensive and boring a move.
That's like you laying up in mini golf.
An effective technique, which saw you defeated on many occasions. Why go for 1 and get 3 when you could just go for 2 every time? And come on, man. Logical.
Yeah, but it's not fan first, is it? It's not fan first, Jack. Sitting here championing it when it doesn't count.
No one is watching us play mini golf.
Practice what you preach.
Like, if I had an audience, maybe I'd adapt my game.
Everyone
wouldn't know.
Everyone, even if they are just another player in mini golf ahead of you or behind you, loves to see a hole in one drained. Shoot for the moon.
Okay. If we had fans, they'd all love you, but I'd still get the gold, so who cares?
Yeah.
Batters can attempt... just carrying on with this now. Batters can attempt to steal first base at any time, including on pass balls, wild pitches. They can just attempt to steal first, which is fun.
That is fun.
I think you'll agree. Walks are replaced, so there's no walk. So if you throw 4 balls, it's not an automatic walk. They're replaced by ball 4 sprints. After ball 4, the batter is allowed to advance as far away around the bases as he can, while the ball is sequentially thrown to all the fielders other than the pitcher, starting with the catcher. The ball remains dead, the batter not liable to be put out until the 4 infielders and 3 outfielders have all touched the ball. So it's basically a mad race. It obviously dissuades throwing too many balls because that's very disadvantageous to the pitching team, which is interesting. It's fun, don't you agree?
It is very fun.
Fans would love that. Here's a good one. Foul balls caught by a fan count as outs.
But that must give a huge advantage to the Bananas, because presumably when they're playing at home, you just drop it.
Yes, if you support a team, yes, I presume you can just drop it. But also, you kind of want to catch a ball and get a souvenir. And quite often as well, if a kid catches a ball, especially if they're near the front, all the players or from the pitching team will run and celebrate with the kid. Sometimes they'll get him on their shoulders and bounce around with him. It's fan first, Ben. It's fun.
That is cool, yeah.
There's also something called a showdown tiebreaker instead of an extra inning. So if it's a tie at the end, they do a showdown tiebreaker, which I'm not going to talk about because it's too long, but it's fun. That's all you need to know. It's fun.
How often do they go yard?
I mean, plenty. I mean, these are good baseball players. I'll come to one in particular. There's someone in the league just now who was a bloody all-star in Major League Baseball like less than a decade ago. It's fun.
That is cool. Okay.
There's something called a golden batter rule where one time in a game a team can send any hitter in the lineup to bat in any spot. You can just like shove him in. Like, this is my big hitter. I'm going to stick him in right now, even though it's meant to be my worst hitter about to go up. That's pretty fun. And there's an equalizing point, which is a new rule for this season, which encourages more trick plays. So trick plays like
double play,
doing a flip while you catch the ball. Or no, there's literally doing a trick, like flicking the ball between your legs before throwing people down and stuff like that. So if the visiting team has more trick points, they get a bonus point, basically. So it encourages that sort of trick play by both teams. And then designated fielder rules, so someone on the defensive side can just field. So you can put someone who's athletic as hell in but can't bat just in as a fielder. That's fun.
That is very fun. Because I bet there's some absolutely gun fielders.
Like catchers with backflips and stuff like that are so fun. They are cool. Circus, man.
Are really disrespectful backflips highly encouraged?
Oh, yes. And yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no bench being cleared for backflips and stuff like that.
Throw it as high as you can.
Just do it, man. Yeah. If it's fun, do it.
Yeah. I mean, disrespectful backflips are just objectively fun. They don't need to be done. Like, they're always fun, whether they result in...
I don't understand what the problem
bench
is.
Clearances or otherwise. It's just that because they're considered disrespectful, no one does them. I think I'd say I have 100% record of finding them hilarious.
The only time that you get a bat flip really is when you've hit a no-doubter. It's like, you've pitched badly or I've done well, or both. I can celebrate. Like, well, what's wrong with a celebration? I don't get it.
So much better when it's pitched badly.
I mean, I'm thinking of Adebayor coming and sliding in front of the Arsenal fans that time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that level of disrespect.
To be fair, if we had a chance, we would have cleared the away end. It wouldn't have resulted in arrests.
I mean, yeah. Unwritten rules, Ben. We need some more of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Bananas carried on playing in the Summer League until 2022 when they folded the Summer League team and basically became just a Banana Ball team at that point. So from 2023 onwards, just a banana ball team. So they started doing world tours at this point, a barnstorming team, you call them, play at different stadiums each week, tour the country, get lots of different fans from all over the country to see them. Great for engagement, great for sales, great for everything.
Kids.
And fun.
Get them involved.
Yeah, exactly. Their first world tour, in inverted commas, was in 2021, where I think it was tongue-in-cheek because they went to one place, which was Mobile, Alabama, which is about 8 hours away from Savannah. And I can attest to that personally because I've done that drive the other way around, or pretty much done that drive. 2022, they increased their tour to 6 more cities and 14 games. Once they focused on barnstorming, it obviously went up a lot. It was 80 cities in 2023, including playing their first international game against an Australian team called, and this is an excellent name, the Aussie Drop Bears, which is fantastic. Do you know about drop bears?
No.
Koalas.
Oh, that's
so. There's it's an urban legend / running joke which say that koalas are drop bears. You'll be walking under a tree and they'll just drop on you and maul you. But obviously, if anyone's met a koala, all they do is look dumb and eat eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah.
That's the one. Anyway, 2024, the tour for the first time included 5 Major League Baseball parks. And then 2025, this expanded to 17 Major League stadiums, as well as 3 NFL stadiums as well.
Oh, wow.
So going up in the world.
Yeah.
They also started a cruise for fans called Banana Land at Sea. So a chance for players and fans to interact on a cruise, which is fun, I guess.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Using that word a lot. Nah.
I reckon I'd draw
Kind
the
of
line
fun.
at
Very popular.
the cruise. And unless there's a game being played and you just hit long balls into the sea, I can get on board with that. But if it's just a hangout, that's a bit odd.
I guarantee some baseballs ended up in the sea. So 2026, they will play at 75 stadiums in 45 states in front of an estimated 3.2 million fans, which is nuts. Considering this is
better than 100.
This is now a 6-team league. Yeah, considering this is now a 6-team league, just to put into context, Major League Soccer gets about 10 million fans watching it a year, and that's a 30-team league now.
Yeah.
So there you go. Puts into context how popular this sport is, this team is, this is just generally.
It's a show, isn't it? Welcome to
the show. Yeah,
as the MLB would say.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a show first and foremost. And as I said, the 6 teams now. So the Bananas, the party animals. There's also the Firefighters, the Texas Tailgaters, the Loco Beach Coconuts, and most recently...
Oh, that's a superb name.
It's a superb name, isn't it? Loco Beach Coconuts. But most recently, and this is cool, the Indianapolis Clowns, who are a revival club of a club of the same name who played in the Negro Leagues, which was the Major Leagues of Baseball for African-American players prior to the desegregation of baseball, which obviously started on April 15th, 1947 with Jackie Robinson, the Brooklyn Dodgers. So that's cool.
That's very cool.
The Indianapolis Clowns were the last Negro League team to still be playing even after the leagues themselves had folded. They were playing exhibition games into, I think, the 1970s, maybe into the 80s, actually. And they made, the new Clowns made Banana Ball history immediately by using their first pick in the Banana Ball draft to select 35-year-old outfielder Jackie Bradley Jr., who was a 2016 Major League Baseball All-Star, 2018 World Series champion with the Boston Red Sox, and who was MVP of that season's American League Championship Series as well. He became the first former Major League Baseball player to be drafted into the league full-time. That is fun.
You know, all I've got in my head is the scene from Good Will Hunting. And he's like, do you know how easy this is for me?
I mean, these are good players. Honestly, I don't want to discredit some of these. Obviously, they're athletes and entertainers first and foremost.
But they're not American League All-Stars that have won it all.
No, they're not. They're not. I think he'll probably hit some dingers, to be fair. So yeah, that's where we are today, really. I've caught up now. So for Jesse and Emily Cole, selling their house a decade ago, proven a pretty wise long-term investment because the BBCL, Banana Ball Championship League, is estimated to be worth $500 million and growing.
Wow. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. That is not bad.
The growth doesn't seem to be slowing down, hence why we are jumping on this bandwagon today and talking about it.
That's fun.
Because I do genuinely think this is A, a good story, and B, super fun. For all you can say about traditions and it's not baseball and this, that, and the other, it's fun. What more can you want?
Yeah, well, sport's nothing if not fun. And it's innovative. You know, it's smart. It's a good way to drive engagement in a sport, whether it's engagement with the actual show just because people like the show rather than the sport, or whether it's to actually act as a gateway into getting people into playing baseball. I imagine for children it does both. For adults, I'm sure there are plenty of people that just go and watch it because it's a great show, and all power to them. Like, it's just a good day out, and like there's who are we and who is anyone to critique anything that anyone derives joy from, unless it's obviously unless you're wrong.
Exactly. Yes, quite. But this is certainly very wholesome. And it's probably less of a problem in baseball because baseball is such a huge sport in the United States. There's so many opportunities to play professional baseball and to play baseball at a high level because of all the minor leagues and what have you. So it's probably less of a problem. But sport generally, it's a bit like a battle for the souls of children, ultimately, because ultimately a talented athlete can only grow up to play one sport unless they're a super freak like Bo Jackson or someone like that. They can only play one sport. Make it yours. Like, get them into the game early. Make them obsessed with baseball. And this makes me wonder about, can cricket go down a similar route? I think the 100 is a bit of engagement, but could cricket go down a similar route to this?
This is giving me big IPL vibes.
I think there's a really good example. I think the IPL is successful. It's one of the biggest sports leagues in the world because of how popular the sport is in India.
It's got to be one of the most watched.
I was going to say, it wouldn't surprise me if sort of pound for pound, in terms of the amount of teams there are, that it's up there with some of these American sports, certainly.
Oh, for sure.
And the Premier League and the like, just because it's so popular in India. But yeah, and it did so through innovation. It did so through doing something differently. It took this new sport, which had been invented in England, and the English were playing sort of a bit tentatively, shall we say, and turned it up to 11 and introduced razzmatazz and got the best players in the world on the pitch and did everything they can to get fan engagement and to get people in the stadiums. And
it's more
massive now.
It's a bit more like, this Banana Savannahs thing is a little, it's more American. It's proper showmanship. Exciting. India still, and cricket still, is very traditional. So India haven't really departed from sort of like, the cheerleaders being young, pretty women, the fireworks being the exciting thing, a bit of live music. But what they have done is, like you said, is they've turned it up to 11 in cricketing context. Well, I think what I like about this, and the reason I brought up the IPL, is because I could see in the long term, if the IPL wants to go global, which is definitely trying, with all like the relative franchises buying out teams from different countries, this is exactly the sort of thing that they might well sort of transition into, where it becomes cricket as a bit more of a show. Like, the cricket is there and it's still being played, but there's a lot more going on around it. Like, that could easily happen.
What I'm thinking of for this would be in England, in English cricket certainly, with the 100 being franchises and only taking part in the biggest stadiums, basically, there's a lot of sort of smaller county sides who don't get a lot of people in the stadiums certainly for the 4-day matches, even for the 1-dayers and 2020s. They don't fill their stadiums up. They need as many bums on seat as possible to make ends meet. Is this a way to do it? Get kids involved, come up with a fun version of cricket which is similar enough to the real thing to be exciting, but then you sort of accentuate the sort of moments within it. So you could have a rule where, like the golden batter rule in this, where, your Josh Butler's just got out, or, your big hitter's just got out, slipping back in the order later on because you've got this Carter player or something like that, so he gets the bat twice. Or fun rules if you do sort of trick plays or making people run in certain situations, like certain balls within the over, you have to hit out the circle, otherwise you have to run, and all of a sudden you've got a run out situation where they have to do a trick play or something to get them run out and stuff like that. It's not traditional, but be fun.
And the great thing about cricket is that you could start this off and test the waters if you wanted to by doing like a 5-over side version before the main event to draw in a new crowd. Like,
I'd say,
you don't it doesn't have to replace, you don't have to try and rely on people just coming exclusively to watch like a show like they do in America, because it's a little bit more firstly there's a lot more people, the sports are bigger, and there's a lot more investment, and there's probably more interest in the sort of the Hollywood aspect, if you like, that maybe doesn't permeate sporting culture over here as much. But I definitely could see like something like that creeping in. What would you like? How would you rather see like a sport grown as well? Like, would you rather it be through mainstream broadcasters like Sky or TNT just driving this sort of like like Schadenfreude type narrative to try and keep you engaged every week? This week you get to be happy, next week you get to be sad. Or would you rather it just be like, oh, do you know what? I'm really looking forward to that next week because that's just going to be really fun.
Yeah.
A great day out.
We have cricket stadiums that even when there's cricket matches going on are mostly empty, and the rest of the time, obviously, they're empty as well. Why not fill it with a fun event using players who maybe don't quite make the top grade, but they're really athletic and they can do these fun things and they can do tricks and they can really hone their fielding side as well, because good fielding is very entertaining. And then turning into a spectacle, which means that kid who would otherwise go off and play football in the future or go off and play rugby in the future decides, no, bloody love cricket, I'm going to play cricket instead. And you've won his soul, and in the future maybe he bats free in the World Cup final and scores you 70, which wins you the game, or whatever it is. You don't know, do you?
Well, you don't know. The next 14-year-old joins the IPL and scores 140 balls or something because he
crazy.
Not that India need to sell cricket to Indians. Like,
no, I think they're sold already.
Do you know what? Actually, like, we're saying all these things about how you could compare it to like cricket or other. We're focusing on cricket, but I guess you could say, is it transferable to other sports? But the reality is that if this is as good as they say it is, it could just be an export for the Americans.
Could be.
Like, people don't watch baseball here, but like they might if it was like you say, like a circus show where people were doing tricks and backflips and there was fan engagement and fireworks and free food, because they don't do free food here.
I would happily go to London Stadium to watch the Savannah Bananas play, happily, and I bet they'd sell out, and I bet there'd be a lot of kids there, and I bet some of those kids would be baseball fans and be buying merchandise and would be maybe setting up their own clubs. Because there are baseball clubs in England, but it's so hard to find them. There's no team in New York. You can get teams in Manchester and sort of Birmingham and the bigger cities, but I would have happily played baseball at this point in my life. Happily play baseball where I can stand on first base and swing a bat and not do much else. That'd be great.
I agree.
Anything to make the sport bigger and better. Like, NFL's gone global, why not baseball by any means possible? And this is one of the means. Don't worry about traditions and it being not the correct form of baseball. Just embrace it.
Yeah. Have fun.
Win the souls of the young. Which is the worst way of putting it. I've decided that's a terrible way of putting it, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it kind of rings true.
Got to win them for life.
No, it is a great concept. If you just YouTube it.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the games are on YouTube and Instagram, and there's a couple more things I would like to say, because I've got ahead of myself slightly. Just talk about a couple of the players, and then one last thing as well, which is important to say. Other than Bradley, who we mentioned, some of the big players, Jackson Olsen, who's very, very popular on social media, has got over 1 million followers now on Instagram, including myself. In fact, including both myself and the Almanac's Instagram now follow him. So 2 from us. He's very entertaining. He seems like a lovely dude as well. And then there's Alex Ziegler, who does really good bat tricks, like flicking the bat, bouncing it off the ground and catching it and stuff like that. Very entertaining stuff. Very fun. And then best of all, this is my favourite, Dakota Albritton. He is 6'5", but thinking that isn't quite enough, he plays the game on stilts, 3.5 foot stilts, making him 10'9" in total when he's playing. So apparently he got a tryout for the team because his mother contacted the team when they did a call out basically saying, bring your best party trick, basically. And, if you've got weird talent, bring it and we want to see it. And so she contacted them saying, oh, my son can go, he can play a bit of baseball and he can walk on stilts. Why isn't he try out? So they invited him along. He tried out without his stilts and he wasn't quite good enough. So he was like, shall I go put my stilts on? Do you want to see it there? And apparently, according to Jesse Cole, Jesse Cole said, only if you can hit a ball in them. And apparently the entire tryout stopped to watch him, and he did. And he got in the team, and he's been in the team for 5 years now. And he both pitches and bats at 10'9" in his stilts. And that, I think you can find, is fun.
Must be so hard to pitch to him.
Yeah, apparently they use his actual knees as the batting box, so they basically have to throw upwards.
Yeah, but what's the catcher doing? Catcher's not 10
foot. There's a very, very good question. Standing up with his arms in the air, I imagine, unless they put stilts on as well. Doesn't matter though, does it?
No, it doesn't matter. It's just fun. Yeah, but it piqued my interest.
I mean, it's mad. It's one of those things which are mad. But the last thing I want to say is about the charity that Banana Ball endorses, and that is called Bananas Foster. And for those of you who don't know, Bananas Foster is a dessert. I think it's a New Orleans dessert, which is very, very delicious. It is brown sugar, rum, bananas, and ice cream, usually sat on fire before it's served, which is very tasty. But in this case, Bananas Foster, the charity, is a charity aimed at celebrating and impacting foster care community. because Jesse and Emily Cole both are foster carers themselves. Foster carers, for those who don't know, give a stable temporary home until the child can be united with their families or until they're able to be adopted. And obviously, they're some of the greatest people around, goes without saying.
They really are.
So yeah, if anyone wants to know more, bananasfoster.org, which includes the Cole's personal story of fostering. So yeah, anyone who's interested, get on there. And that is my story of the Savannah Bananas, and that'll be the last time I say banana for a while.
Mate, it's a very good story. And it fits in really nicely with the start of the baseball season. And I want to emphasize what you were saying about the charity. Does that conclude our discussions around baseball for the week? Do you want to know what Gianni's been up to?
I actually haven't checked what Gianni's been up to, so I am delighted to learn. What has Gianni been up to this week?
He's not been as bad as he's usually been in the past. But
lying low.
Yeah, but he has been insisting that Iran will play at the 2026 World Cup in the United States of America, specifically, not in the World Cup that has been co-hosted by the United States of America. He is going to insist that they play all 3 of their games in the United States, and is confident that they will do so, and he has no plan B, C, or D.
I mean, to be fair, Donald Trump is insisting that the war will be over by then, although he has insisted before, which caused the markets to go down, and then loads of people bought loads of oil, and then he changed his mind, and then the markets went up again, and then those people sold the oil, and then he changed his mind again, the markets went down, and people who bought... Anyway, never mind. That's me just rambling to myself.
Well, since you brought him up, it's interesting because Gianni has also said he said he will do whatever he can to support Iran playing in the World Cup, which is an interesting promise given the stance he's taken on the man that's currently responsible for them being bombed.
Anything he can do, such as threaten to take away the peace prize he gave to the person responsible. Yeah. But no, anything except that, obviously.
Anything except all the things that he can do.
Well, quite. I mean, what can he possibly do? I'm surprised, being of Italian ancestry, Mr. Infantino hasn't tried to reverse Italy's loss and get them to qualify for the World Cup. Because for the third time in a row, they're not. Because
he's technically Swiss, isn't it? And the Swiss always bottle it.
Yeah. Well, glorious neutrality.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Gianni. That's what he's been up to.
So where are we next week?
Yeah, where are we going next? I think we're going...
back to where it all began.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to chew the fat over the National, the Grand National, and the Masters. So it's our year anniversary. Hooray. In fact, I think our first episode was a year ago to the day that we're recording this, which I might be wrong. 1st of April is when we're recording, just to let you behind the curtain. I believe it was a year ago today. So happy anniversary, Ben. Happy anniversary, mate.
So we're going to go back and basically revisit.
Thanks for sticking it out.
Oh, it's been easy. It's been fun. So revisit the first year a little bit, but also speak about the first 2 episodes we did ever with the Grand National and the Masters. And the Masters one sounds a lot better than the Grand National one. I continue to apologise for how bad I sound in the Grand National one. We've learnt lessons since then, I hope.
Yeah, well, you know, we're trying. Every man and his dog's got a podcast these days. So
indeed,
we're just joining. We're just jumping on the bandwagon and having fun hanging out together. Essentially, it's kind of really just a diary entry for us to just chat every week, which is really enjoyable.
Can't argue with that.
So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, next week, Masters and the National.
Can't wait. I'll see you then.
See you then, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us for some Banana Ball today. We hope you've had fun, and if you liked it, please do all the cool happy things you can do with this episode on whatever app you use, but mainly please tell a friend. That would be great. Our theme tune is Oh Yeah by Harmony Productions. You can find us on Blue Sky and Instagram at The Sporting Almanac. Next up is our first anniversary doubleheader. Until then, get plenty of potassium, engage with things that spark joy, and always remember, sport is nothing without the history that makes it. Goodbye.